welcome to Game Set Matchup, the podcast where we talk everything partnerships, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hello, everyone. So, on this week's podcast, we spoke to Rachel Flower, who is the co-founder at a company called Active Orbit. So, clue in the name as to what the business do, all about getting people active and using rewards in the beginning anyway to motivate people and just get them being just more active in general. Something I'm very passionate about, especially as I've got a 6-year-old son, so I want to be able to teach him very early on about the importance of being active and just including this as part of his normal sort of daily lifestyle. We had some really interesting facts again about just our bodies and how as humans how important it is that we do stay active regularly through the week, and just not being sat in that office chair, or if you're working from home, chair at home. More and more people working from home, just making it just make it harder for some to get into that active mindset when that couch is just so close to you. So anyway, she gives top tips on creating partnerships and how Active Orbit are going about doing this. And also, gives us some advice on, getting the best from your teams and, working with lots of different skill sets and personalities. So just a reminder, Active Orbits are on Finder right now. You think there could be a conversation there. If you're not already a member, get onto Finder and, you can request a call with her today. Enjoy this week's episode. Okay, well, welcome to Game Set Matchup. So this is the podcast where we discuss all things partnerships. So I'm your host, as always, Carl Busby. And today I am joined by my co-host, Shireen Langlaise.
Hello.
So please welcome our guest today. It's Rachel Flower, and she's the co-founder at Active Orbit. Hello and welcome, Rachel.
Hey, very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries.
You're welcome. So we'll just start off what we like to do, just a quick sort of, overview, just a bit of an introduction. So can just tell our listeners a bit more about yourself, just a little bit of sort of your background, what your current role sort of within Active Orbit is, and what is Active Orbit exactly?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Well, Active Orbit is a technology startup, and we're operating in the health and wellbeing space. Our mission is to get more people more active every day, and ultimately that's to help people live happier, longer lives. We focus on rewarding people for active minutes. So did you know that just 10 to 20 minutes of walking a day can add 7 years onto your lifespan? Is absolutely amazing. So my background, though, is actually in the law. So I trained as a commercial lawyer, specializing in IP and IT, and then I moved into working in large corporates, managing big budgets and big teams of people before jumping into entrepreneurship, which was actually when my children came along, just about 12 or 13 years ago. And as a woman, I'm very passionate about women in business and supporting female founders, particularly in the tech space as well. And I've really enjoyed, as I've been venturing into the Finder world, looking at the massive diversity of different types and sizes of businesses that are currently joining the platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's amazing. I just wanted to say, obviously I had a look at Active Orbit, and I think, for me, I like to, I'm trying to get myself, usual thing, start the new year. I'm generally usually a pretty sort of active guy, but I definitely need to start getting a bit more active myself. Obviously that stat you just go there, I think that's gonna live in me, just doing, just walking. So such an easy thing that for anyone can do, anyone obviously can do walking and stuff. Just with the you said obviously you get rewards. Now I think obviously in life people always like to do things when they obviously get rewarded. What sort of like the rewards and stuff what sort of reward do you kind of get?
Well, you alluded to it in your statement there that you're going to try and get more active and you want to be more active. You're not really sure how. It's about motivation. It's about willpower. And as humans, we always take the path of least resistance, which unfortunately now is sitting on the sofa, eating processed takeaway food most of the time. So we need something more than just willpower itself in order to get us moving. And this is how we created Active Orbit, with a real focus on behavioral science. The rewards element of that is around the kind of the carrot and the stick, which is a very well-known way of incentivizing people to do things differently. But when we built the platform, it was in the wake of the pandemic, and we were looking really closely and with astounded amazement to the way people responded to the lockdown. An hour of exercise a day was basically mandated by the government. What an incredible thing to happen. And so suddenly our parks were full of people getting outdoors and people buying bikes, and And unfortunately, as time's passed and life's gone back to normal, inverted commas, that's fallen off again. So when we created the rewards marketplace, what we wanted to do was look really laser focused at what an individual would find incentivizing and rewarding, because we know that one size doesn't fit all. Yeah. But we definitely know that people would love to shop local. They'd love to support their local community that they live in or the causes that they care about. So we've built into the platform the ability to get rewards both from big national brands and well-known high street brands, but also to support those grassroots organizations and charities that you care about most. And ultimately, without giving away too much of our secret sauce, what we want to do is take people on that journey that they get little steps, the 10 to 20 minutes of walking a day. They start to feel much better in themselves. They get a little bit of, addiction into that healthy activity. And then we switch from extrinsic rewards, something that the person gets or they give to a cause, to literally the intrinsic reward of I actually feel really good in myself and I can see the change. And now I want to keep it up. And then we step at another level and get them to sort of work on a peer level or a buddying level or encourage other people into that activity. So there's quite a lot of science, and the behavioural stuff is what really intrigues and is my passion.
No worries, that's fine. And also, Rachel, I want to ask as well, going back to obviously where you started, meaning, you was in the corporate industry, you was a solicitor, you had the qualifications in law. What made you think of creating a fitness company? Did you see a marketing? Did you see a gap in the market? What kind of drew you into, creating a company in fitness?
I think for any sort of entrepreneur and business owner, you always kind of look back and you're able to connect the dots a little bit better than when you're in it. It's very rarely as simple as kind of a moment in time when you make that decision to say, I'm going to do X. There's always a lot of agility and pivoting and changing directions sometimes, but with the ultimate vision. And my ultimate vision has always been, really ever since I started work, to improve other people's lives and to work on longevity and health. Even when I was a solicitor and I was working in IT/IP, lots of the technology I was interested in was in the health space. And whilst at that point I was working with really large organizations to increase the impact or sometimes the profitability or the end user experience, I also worked with all the small companies and the innovative companies and helped them to partner with us in bigger corporates. So I've worked on all sides of the table now, which I think as an entrepreneur of a startup gives me a really unique perspective. And allows me to have more powerful conversations about things like partnerships and collaboration, because I look at it, in a full circle. From a personal perspective, I lost my parents when I was 20. I was still at university, my mum to cancer and my dad to heart disease in very quick succession. So all of my adult life has been kind of seen through the lens of what illness and ultimately, bereavement can do. And both of those conditions that I've just mentioned, as well as many others, are actually preventable through lifestyle. And in particular, exercise and movement can play an astounding role in giving you the best chances of a longer life. So there's a legacy aspect to what I'm doing as well in the memory of my parents, but all other people who unfortunately have died young through preventative diseases.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's amazing. That's very, very powerful, stuff like you can see where the motivations definitely, come from. And again, just hits home again that, just being active and just doing, like I said, just a small amount each day can make a big difference. I think, Trey, you got the next question?
Yeah. Also as well, what makes your business different from the others? So I know obviously, it's built with, legacy and making sure that everybody is healthy, but what makes your business different from all the other fitness companies, would you say?
Well, for us, we focus very closely on those people who are not already active. So much of the technology you would see out there, the well-known platforms that people might use for exercising, like Strava, they are targeting those people that are already quite active and just want to improve or stay motivated or find friends. We have 80% of UK adults who are not doing enough movement each week to be healthy. That is actually a massive market. It's huge, and there is very little being done from a technology perspective to encourage those people to literally take those small steps that we're talking about. The other thing that makes us different is, as we've mentioned, these rewards, and we want to cultivate this community aspect. So rather than just focusing on the larger corporate rewards that we see, I mean, we often get mentioned Vitality, which is an offering of linked to insurance, and they might give you M&S vouchers or Costa Coffee vouchers. We wanted to have that mix to also support SMEs and small businesses in the way that we structured rewards. And that's a real differentiator for us. Unfortunately, it brings a real element of complexity, which is why currently we're launching in regions of the UK. We can't just immediately go nationally. But one of the things I'm really convinced is that that is where we will see the habits start to stick. So that differentiator over time will become a real strength for us. And last but not least, which is always the case, it's the people that make a business. And, you know, I've got an amazing founding team and an amazing team that's joined since to help us drive forward. And we've got some amazing partnerships, an amazing network, and other people that understand what we're trying to do and believe in what we're trying to do. And that over time will really give us the edge, I believe.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so you just obviously alluded a little bit there with the partnership. So we'll just talk a little bit about partnerships. Obviously, that's what we obviously do at Finder. So just looking at sort of at partnerships, what's your sort of definition, you know, for you as a business partnership, and sort of at the moment, sort of how are you currently sort of trying to go about creating them?
Well, my background as a lawyer, a partnership has a legal meaning to it. And I've also seen a lot of partnerships go wrong over those years. I've been on the receiving end of kind of undoing partnerships when the people that went into the partnership maybe didn't think through well enough, or they didn't apply enough time to the planning phase. So for me, partnership now is so closely linked to collaboration and is best done when there is, you know, mutual benefit for both of the parties, when there's clarity on what the outcomes are going to be, and very importantly, that there's a shared goal in mind and an outcome. And I would go as far to say also it's best to kind of tiptoe into partnerships a lot of the time, because there's so many different factors that will define whether it's successful or not. So, you know, we might use the term like a pilot or, you know, a sort of a piece of the jigsaw that a partnership could step into first to really test the water, to see whether their values are aligned, whether there is that mutual reciprocity and that mutual respect, and not to go in necessarily, you know, full throttle and start making too many commitments. It's definitely something that needs to be feeled into. But you know, ultimately for me, partnership is about problem solving, and it's about being stronger together, and it has to be about having fun and creating much stronger outcomes than you would do on your own.
Yeah.
Definitely, I agree. Carl, do you want to answer, or should I give her another?
No, go for it.
Also, what would you give? Like, what sort of advice would you give to your younger self? You know, even before, you know, starting a company, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think, you know, one of the things that's happening, unfortunately, is we're losing touch with our intuition, and we're losing the ability to trust our gut instincts. And actually, my younger self was much better at that than I currently am as an adult. And if I could go back in time and give that advice, I would say to continue trusting your intuition and not doubt yourself. And I see it all the time around me, in adults as well as in myself, that sometimes we second guess, or we pause or hesitate on things because we start to overthink. And that's why, you know, thinking about what we just talked about with the partnership, that's why the action, trusting your intuition when you know, meet people and you go into things together, but then having the ability to trust your intuition as well if things are not working out quite as they should be, and either having the difficult conversations or being brave enough to back out of things or pivot and change direction in the way that we talked about. So I think intuition is absolutely massive. One of the reasons that it's falling away as well is over reliance on devices and technology. So, you know, with our children spending too much time consuming information and not being allowed to get bored. And by bored, I mean, you know, spending times with themselves or in nature or being creative. And that's when, you know, intuition comes into creativity and comes into its own.
I think touches the point there. Obviously, I've got a 6-year-old son, and I'm forever trying to, keeping off screens as much as you can. Obviously, inevitable. They obviously are, they're everywhere now. There's got screens everywhere. But it's something I'm just very aware of, trying to keep that to a minimum and get him to, like you said, just be outside and just do different things.
Well, you know the answer to that, Carl, because you're the role model. So you get yourself on Active Orbit and you get yourself outdoors, and he will naturally follow, because that's what daddy's doing. And whatever mummy and daddy or grandparents, aunties and uncles do, that's what the kids do. So, actually my passion about Active Orbit is about parents and adults with longevity, but it's because childhood obesity is on the rise. 8 out of 10 children are overweight and aren't healthy enough. They will only change when we as adults change. So that's your challenge.
Yeah.
Should you choose to accept it?
I'll definitely accept it. Saying that, we've just got him a bike. So now the weather's starting to it's going up a few degrees. We'll be going out and doing a few.
And have you got a bike?
I do indeed, yes.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's great.
Yeah,
we'll be seeing photos of that on the social media site soon, will we?
I've got a bike. My wife has one, but she's never used it, so she's not going to like me saying that. But this year, the plan, we all go out as a family, do you know what I mean? And do something. But I love cycling.
I love it.
Cycling is one of my favorite things. I've done a few bike rides, London to Brighton, done on a few occasions.
That's amazing.
Which has been really, really good. So I'm totally with you on that one. I'll just have a quick question. So just with your experience of partnerships, you said obviously talking about what you might have done maybe slightly differently. But what would you say? Have you got any sort of top tips when it comes to maybe sort of creating high performing teams, or winning cultures within a business?
Millions, to be honest. I mean, it's a real pet topic of mine. I have been long talking about a new style of leadership, which is bringing in a mix of kind of masculine and feminine values. And at the heart of that, having more compassion, having more openness, and being able to build trust quicker as a result of that. I think that's absolutely critical. I would love leaders of high-performing teams to be having those difficult conversations earlier and allowing people to be vulnerable. And, there's a phrase of bring your whole self to work. And I think that's maybe taking it a little bit too far, because we do need to have a kind of a persona that allows us to separate out work and home. But there's a balance somewhere in the middle where people can feel more into genuinely who they are and how they want to show up. And then they will add their best into that team. And I think thinking of a team as an orchestra and everybody plays a slightly different instrument in a slightly different way, that's the dream. And it's not to be the same as anybody else, it's to have your own strengths brought to the fore and having other people to complement your weaknesses. And I think that's particularly important for startups, because we're short of resources. And this is where partnerships with larger organizations really come into their own with us, because they can help us to fill in some of the gaps. And equally, we can bring lots of strengths that get lost in large organizations, such as agility and innovation and creativity and passion and excitement and, that kind of hunger for change. So, I love thinking about how to match up the best of those skills in order to bring out the best in every single person within a team.
Yeah, no, I think that's some brilliant advice there. And obviously, again, we're obviously a startup ourselves to a very similar situation. Obviously we've not got lots of people, but it's just the case getting everybody pulling in that sort of right direction. Everyone's different. Everyone bring different, different things to the table. But yeah, like I said, I love working obviously in you've got a small group of people. Everybody just pulling in the right direction. Everyone's helping each other out, and like I said, just trying to grow and take things forward.
Definitely, and also as well. What do you think the future holds for businesses when it comes to creating partnerships with each other? It could be anything. Will you and Active Orbit be trying anything different in the future? Well, let us know about that.
Well, Active Orbit was purposefully built as an enabler a technology enabler because our collaboration is one of my key values. In the area that we are creating impact, there is a lot of good work already going on. So for us, it was never about coming in and reinventing the wheel and trying to forge a path on our own. We were very clear from the outset that we wanted collaboration, that we wanted to work with organizations, be that grassroots or corporates or charities or public sector organizations who already shared our outcome. And that's been at the heart of us. So for us, it's about just continuing to build those organizational partnerships and make them work and get the data and the outcomes that demonstrate that what we've created can help to achieve the shared outcomes that these organizations already have. And ultimately, they're shared obviously by the end users as well. So we might be talking about employees of the company, or we might be talking about patients within a health setting, or we might be talking about children in schools. They all want the same outcome. And all we're doing is bringing a platform and a technology and the passion to help these organizations get there faster. So, our mission for us around that has always been very clear, but it's about accelerating that and having the funds and the resources and the support to get on and make it happen.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I think, again, especially, obviously beginning of 2023, and like I said, a lot of business, a lot of companies now looking, what ways they can obviously, partner with, different companies. And I think it's just something, we're just trying to, also we're doing at Finder, just making everyone as aware or as possible. That said, we've got, there's so many different business, different companies out there, and you just don't know how someone could potentially, fit into a partnership. What you alluded to a bit earlier, in terms of, having that experience of how, some have worked, maybe, some haven't, but they take, partnerships, they take time, take time to grow. But like you said, you really just got to make sure that you're both of you obviously getting, something out of it.
I mean, the observation I'd make on that is, unfortunately for SME startups, time is not a luxury that we have. So what we're looking for from partnerships is the ability for the larger organization to move quickly and make decisions more quickly, which is one of their Achilles heel often, and that's why breaking it down into something maybe smaller, bite-sized, being very clear on the ROI that could be gained from the partnership and clearly measurable outcomes. There's nothing more frustrating for me as a founder than kind of hitting the brick wall of come back when you've got more data, or come back when you've got more traction, or we need to do this together. And that's why startups are dying, because they're not getting enough opportunity. Clearly, they don't have enough cash flow to really get into the impact zone. So I think this is where something like Finder can really add value by shining a light on what's available for matching, for the matchmaking, but then hopefully really helping to massage and move those partnerships into something that's tangible and can be measured.
Yeah. No, 100%. Again, very proud of 100% SMEs. Need to just be, like I said, given that opportunity to try and obviously move forward. I think I just want to do one last question. It's obviously a little bit of fun. So we obviously talked about partnerships and how they work and stuff. For Active Orbit, if you could have, a gold star partnership, it could be, anyone, a business, a particular person, anyone that you'd like to sort of work with that you think would really, take you to that next step. Who would that be, or what would that be?
Do you know what? It's really hard for me to answer definitively on that, because gold star partnerships change for every step of our journey, I think. And at the moment, we are focused on a number of different niches. We're looking to work in women's health, so organisations in perimenopause and menopause. We're also looking for amazing partners in the insurance sector. And we're also looking at fan communities. So, for example, I'm from Wrexham originally. Wrexham were playing in the FA Cup this week. And if you've been watching the history of Wrexham, they've been bought by Ryan Reynolds. And there's a whole kind of like fairy tale, rags to riches unfolding, which gives shivers down my spine. So, that would be an example at the moment of a gold star partnership. Because it's something that is both close to my heart and also allows other people to have hope for where partnerships can go. But equally, my original point is the partnerships that you want to cultivate sometimes only unfold as you keep going and as you stay focused on them. And SMEs suddenly sometimes struggle from setting their goals too high and having these dream partnerships that at the moment are unattainable. But actually, if you take the steps to go down smaller partnerships with your current gold star, then everything else will unfold and become more obvious.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's brilliant. I think that's a perfect answer, really. Just to say, I did see that game. So it was a draw. You got it. I think it was a replay with Wrexham.
Replay. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Which is a shame because Wrexham deserved the win. I have
like
to
a last
say.
minute, wasn't it? Last minute goal. So I saw Mr. Ryan Reynolds. He obviously wasn't too. But
There's
yeah,
so many analogies with sport, though, with business. I think it's a fascinating topic to delve into, and they've just got to dig deep, be resilient, go forward again. They've got their fans behind them. They've built an amazing community of raving fans, and there's so much to dig into there about running a business and doing it like a team sport.
100%. Probably could just do a podcast on that alone. I think just in terms of how the change, motivation, and everything that can just happen, mentally as well.
Definitely.
And stuff. Listen, been absolutely great talking to you. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. I just want to say thank you for coming on. I said we really appreciate you taking the time just to come and talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, and I'm really enjoying the Finder platform. We've got a lot out of it so far, so great work, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for joining this week's Game Set Matchup. Tune in to hear more about the need to knows and the do's and don'ts when it comes to creating successful business partnerships.